Have you ever wondered what a neighborhood dictator will do when you dare to install solar panels that don't match her perfect beige aesthetic? What if the woman who measures your lawn with a ruler decides your independence is a threat to her throne? And what if that one unhinged moment with a power tool turned her entire kingdom of fear into a house of cards that came crashing down? Willow Creek Estates looked like the American dream on the surface, manicured lawns, kids riding bikes, flags waving just so. But underneath, it was ruled by the iron fist of Vanessa Sterling, our HOA president. Vanessa spoke in soft, reasonable tones at meetings, always starting with "as a concerned neighbor." While citing bylaws like scripture, she had fined me $250 for having the wrong shade of blue on my welcome mat. Another $150 for my shed being 4 inches over an invisible line. She'd called my solar panels an eyesore that devalued the community. I, Ethan Brooks, had taken it all in silence. After my divorce, I just wanted quiet. As a utility systems compliance specialist, I knew the rules, the real ones, not her made-up ones. But Vanessa had painted me as the difficult bachelor who didn't fit in. The neighbors nodded along because no one wanted to be next. That changed the morning I heard the chainsaw. The shrill scream of the blade tore through the cul-de-sac. I dropped my coffee and ran around the house. There was Vanessa in her official yellow HOA enforcement officer vest, standing inches from my electrical service panel, chainsaw revving like she was in a horror flick. "Vanessa, what the actual hell are you doing?" I shouted. She didn't turn around at first. "Notice, Mr. Brooks. Regulation violates aesthetic standards, and that shed is non-compliant. The board has voted. Necessary. You don't get to cut my power. This is my property. This is illegal." She finally looked at me, that fake sweet smile cracking. "The covenants are clear. You ruin everything. Property values would plummet. I'm protecting us all." With that, she swung. The blade bit into the main feed. My house went dark. The hum of appliances died. Neighbors gathered. Thompson from across the street actually applauded. "Finally someone doing something," she called out. Vanessa beamed like she just won an award. I was shaking with rage. "You'll be hearing from the police and my lawyer. This is felony vandalism." "Oh, Ethan," she sighed theatrically. "Always so dramatic." That night, sitting in my dark house with the flashlight and growing fury, I replayed years of her harassment. The time she cited me for excessive vehicle noise when I started my truck. The letter about my Christmas lights being too festive. It was never about rules. It was about control, but she didn't know who she was dealing with. I had spent 15 years ensuring city utilities ran safely and legally. I knew the shared grid that powered the HOA's common areas, the park lights, the community center. The irrigation for those perfect lawns was vulnerable. One properly filed report about inconsistent load patterns and safety concerns from unauthorized modifications would trigger an automatic city inspection and shutdown. By morning, I filed it quietly. Devastating. The results hit by afternoon. These were locked down pending inspection. No water in the shared systems. No power to the pool pumps or street lamps. Vanessa's own house, tied into the same management, went dark too. She arrived at my door at sunset, hair frizzy, flashlight in hand like a weapon. "What did you do, you monster? The entire community is suffering because of you." I sipped my now hot coffee from a mug that read, "Following the rules." Funny, that's exactly what I said when you attacked my electrical box with a chainsaw. I just reported legitimate safety concerns to the city. Page 82 of the utility regulations. You should read it sometime instead of making up your own. Her voice rose. "Power. The board will remove you from the neighborhood." Abuse of power? Coming from the woman who played executioner with power tools? I own my home. I filed a police report with video evidence. Detective Ramirez is very interested in your little stunt. She blinked, the first real fear showing. You're bluffing. I held up my phone. Together? Your vest looked very official. She backed away, muttering threats about lawsuits. But the neighborhood was already stirring. Without power or water, people who usually avoided conflicts started talking. The petty complainers became the angry mob. I watched from my porch as groups formed, whispering about all the times Vanessa had made their lives hell over nothing. Finding a young family for a temporary basketball hoop, harassing an elderly couple over the height of their rose bushes. The turning point came when a group led by retired firefighter Tom Reynolds marched to her door. "We want answers, Vanessa." Shouts. Her response was classic. "We're good. We're upgrading the community standards." Upgrading. A single mom shouted. "My kids couldn't take a bath. This is ridiculous." It was the beginning of the end. People sharing their stories, offering support. One neighbor, a paralegal, offered to help organize grievances. I didn't push. And planned. By the next evening, 20 of us crowded into my garage, now a command center with printed bylaws, whiteboards, and boxes of pizza. We weren't rebels. Enough. Clause 14 in the Charter allows for emergency removal of board members for gross misconduct, I explained, pointing to the highlighted section. Cutting utility lines with a chainsaw qualifies. So does the financial mess we're about to uncover. Stories poured out. Threatened to tow his classic car for not matching the aesthetic. The single mom, Lisa, had been fined repeatedly for her kids' toys left out, cluttering the visual harmony. An older gentleman revealed how she'd used HOA dues for landscaping services from her sister's company at inflated rates. We collected signed statements, timestamps, everything. One particularly damning receipt showed thousands funneled to beautification projects that never existed. I forwarded it all to the county regulator and the detective. The climax came fast. The next afternoon. She didn't go quietly. Radical elements. She screamed as they cuffed her in her driveway, the whole street watching. "I'm the one who kept this place civilized." The silence after the patrol car left was golden. That night, we held an emergency vote. The board was dissolved by overwhelming majority. A temporary committee, me, Tom, Lisa, and a couple others took over the transition. We immediately canceled the ridiculous citations and ridiculous fines. No more measuring grass. The utility company restored everything the next day, and the inspector even complimented my documentation. But we weren't done. Rot. Vanessa hadn't just been petty, she'd been stealing. Payments to shell companies linked to her family for fake consulting and non-existent repairs. Over $80,000 vanished into community enhancement that benefited only her circle. Then came the real bombshell. Falsified permit applications for underground work near protected wetlands, claiming completed projects that were never done. The environmental impact could have caused flooding. The FBI got involved. Fraud, embezzlement, and falsifying official documents. Vanessa's empire collapsed completely. Her house went into foreclosure to cover restitution. She took a plea deal, several years behind bars. We replaced the old HOA with a voluntary neighborhood group. No enforcement powers, just shared events, group discounts for maintenance, and real transparency. Our first barbecue was pure joy. Kids played freely. Of noise complaints. Neighbors who once glared at each other now laughed together. Looking back, Vanessa's chainsaw moment was the best thing that happened to Willow Creek. She tried to cut one man's power and ended up losing control of everything. The neighborhood finally felt like home. In the end, the real power was never in the bylaws or the clipboard. It was in ordinary people deciding enough was enough. If a Karen in your HOA starts swinging power tools, literal or figurative, document everything, know your rights, and remember, bullies thrive in silence. Flip the switch and watch the lights come back on for everyone.